Message to Trump, Our Potus, President of the United States of America. Um, I tried calling your office about 3 days ago. Anyway, I'm going to try and get in contact with you again, but I'm going to go through the other channels during the daytime, during regular hours. I'm a veteran, and I got some stories I can tell you that'll really give you a better perspective of what Social Security is doing and not doing. Just like when they didn't hang your picture up with Pence in the offices, example, because the Democrats, I'm in California, they don't recognize you, but yet they should, but they don't because they're idiots and they're sore losers. My point is, sir, I did half my life in the military. I'm 53 now. I did about 24 years Air Force. I followed both grandfathers. My mom's side, Army Air Corps, and jet mechanic. The other grandfather, my dad's side, Navy, World War II. I was the only grandkid out of all the family that went in the military. The only one. Nobody else that I know of that went in. So my point is, out of respect for both my grandfathers, I went in. Plus, I didn't have any money for college, the stuff that they, do to hook you to get you to go in the military in the first place. But I had good grades in high school, and I went in. So I ended up being a parachute fabrication specialist. What a joke. In Chicago, Illinois, at Chanute Air Force Base back in '85. And washed out by 1 point. I kept getting 97% on the test. You got to get a 98 to pass. So I had a colonel ask me, I come into his office, I go in and I salute him, I report in. And he says, well, what do you want to do? Airman Borowski. Okay, fine. Sir, I don't want to get out. Both my grandfathers served World War II or Army Air Corps, and I want to be a patriot to my country. So whatever you can do and help make it worth my while, and government, of course, because I'm still in, I'm not kicked out for any bad reason, just want a job. I was a go-getter. I was naive, but I was a go-getter, so I did what I had to do. So later on, they decided, okay, we're going to put you in an engineering outfit. And I go, okay, fine, sounds great. My dad and my uncle, both twin brothers, were cabinet makers, carpenters, and I had sheet metal experience from high school and welding and things like that nature. So I wasn't a complete greenhorn going in. I already had a head about certain things, so that made it good for me and good for them. So I ended up being a civil engineer for 24 years. 96 Civil Engineering Unit out of Abilene, Texas, where the B-1B bombers were first started up under Reagan, Ronald Reagan. That's our president. From 95 to, well, from, let me see. No, actually it was before that. 1985. Correction. 85 when I went in. My mom's birthday. February 7th. Went in. Went to Oakland Eps, got my shots, got my full physical, the whole 9 yards. And ended up going to Dyess Air Force Base in Abilene, Texas. Home of the B-1B bombers. Nice place to go. Humid as heck, but hey, it was a base. I was happy. At least I had a job. I was there for 3 years. I had 10 months left. They wanted me to re-enlist. I didn't like the way things were going. I saw a lot of, what's that old saying? A lot of good old boy network stuff, and they didn't promote people properly. So that was why I left. And I know you understand the good old boy network, that expression. It wasn't a fair system. But the colonel I had, Colonel Barrows, he's probably still alive. If he is, he's in his 80s. They retired him. They sent him to Osan, Korea, plus my supervisor from my active duty shop. And I saw him coincidentally when I went to Osan, Korea. Small world, huh? But I actually experienced this. And I said, anybody would give some guy like you chief and put you in Osan, because he was a brown noser. He was a good old boy network, and I didn't like him. And he knew it. He said I would be going back to California flipping burgers at some hamburger joint, and I took that as an insult. It was meant that way, but I just laughed at him and said, "Whatever you want to believe, dude." And I left. And I ended up getting transferred to Travis Air Force Base in California, out of Fairfield, and I was there from 1988 till 2008. Did 20 years there. A lot of good people in that unit. A lot of good things I miss. I mean, they were family to me. And all veterans understand family. They understand when you know people's quirks and expressions and their mindset and their heart set, that's what makes you family. And that's what I loved about being in the reserve as well, because a lot of these guys were Vietnam veterans. My supervisor was a Vietnam veteran, so I had a lot of respect for these guys. That's why I stayed in and kept my nose clean, didn't get in trouble, did my job. I've got 4th device on Meritorial Service Award. I've got M16 expert, I don't know how many times. In fact, Conroe, Texas 95, we built a firing range for the Conroe Sheriff's Department and the FBI. And that was during the Oklahoma bombing, coincidentally, that week and that month. It was, I think, April 11th of 95. And that was a tragedy. It shouldn't have happened. But that was a rude awakening for us as military guys. And it kept me alert, on my toes, questioning everything the government did and didn't do, because we wanted to know the truth. And then 9/11 came on, later on down the road. Another rude awakening. I wish, Trump, you would prosecute the Bush family. I think they were the biggest traitors on the planet for what they let happen. A false flag that led us into a war that didn't make any sense. And they wanted me to go to Afghanistan and Iraq. And I knew about depleted uranium on the bullets. And I thought, no. I asked that question, didn't get an answer. So I said, no, I'm not volunteering. I'm not stupid. You get a fragment of that depleted uranium in your body, you can get cancer. Just like Agent Orange, same shit Vietnam veterans went through. And I have a friend where I used to work at a hardware store, and he got his eardrum disintegrated, so he was partially deaf in one ear. And that's from Agent Orange. And I told him, you better fight for it. Don't let them keep it. You fight for it. And he got it. Extra $600 a month because of what he had to go through. Real nice man too. Real go-getter. A real pleasant person. I got nothing bad to say about the man. He was always working, and I was working with him, and I saluted him. I said, hey man, I'm glad you got what you deserve. This is the kind of things I've experienced my whole life. I mean, I remember at 8 years old seeing Vietnam veterans with their legs blown off or something, and in wheelchairs, and how they were treated. So I come from a person with a lot of respect for veterans, and I didn't see it as something I was going to do later down the road, but incidentally I did, because of my family and my grandfathers. I still decided to go ahead and make that leap and fight for my country, or at least try to. But hey, Trump, I want to come and meet you in person. I want to get to know you. If I can come to Washington, I'd love to meet you. You can do background checks on me all you want. I'll come up clean as a whistle. Yeah, I like to have beer, I like to smoke cigarettes, big deal. I don't shoot up, I don't do bad drugs, I don't do any of those kind of things. Even though they legalized pot, I'm not for it. I grew up around it all my life and kept my nose clean, even while I was in the military. So I leave it at that. That's the stuff I had to go through in California. And it only got worse over time, seeing all these poor veterans get screwed over. And I've been witnessing it. even civilians, people that should have got their disability. For example, a guy died about 2.5 years ago, and he didn't have to die. His family would not help him, and he was homeless. This stuff's got to stop. We need to have some other avenue to help people that can't help themselves. And this needs to be done, because there is not too many other people really fighting for those people, especially veterans. Now, you're in there and things are getting better, granted, but I want people to have all the avenues that they have available to them, just like unemployment, EDD, job placement, unemployment, everything. They should have it. We all work hard, we pay into it, it should be ours anyway, right? Social Security's done us a bad injustice. And I know Obama stole from Social Security. I know he did. So much corruption. And I still want him behind bars on that too. $4.5 billion from Social Security. Where did that money go? I mean, that's what I read on YouTube or read in certain things, but factual or not, I still believe it, because the guy was not a good American. He wasn't even an American. Okay? His birth certificate was forged. We already know that. Anyway, I'm done.